And these nanoparticles seem to find themselves, once they get into the bloodstream, especially if the body is acidic enough and the enzymes, if the immune system is suppressed and the enzymes are not in balance, then these nanoparticles have an affinity for one another, and then they can reproduce on their own.
And create polymers that they wrap themselves in.
They create this, well, they then can reproduce on their own, and they develop these fibers, and the symptom of it, I'm sure you're aware of, are these open sores, and people feel like something's crawling under their skin, and they have these blue fibers and red fiber, all these fibers coming out of their skin.
A polymorphic organism, so whatever organism it gets in, based on its chemical structure, acidity, previous influence of different compounds in the system. A painter would have a higher concentration of solvents from paints and such as that, where a beautician might get a different development of more gallons.
I think it's, I think it's basically designed after mycoplasmas. A mycoplasma being a very, very small organism. We've used it a lot in bioweapons engineering because it is so small, and it morphs into whatever is convenient. It can morph into a fungus-like pathogen, into a viral-like pathogen, or bacterial pathogen. And for that matter, as Garth Nicholson pointed out, most of us in this area, by area I mean this part of the world, now have mycoplasmas. A lot of us have Mycoplasma fermentans, which was produced in the laboratory.
So recapping a little bit, over the last couple months, we've seen pictures of animals taken by night cameras, some 200-300 pictures a night, down to orphaned animals, and then within a 25-day span of time, no pictures being taken, no sign of eagles and amphibians and...
No, they didn't find signs of them. They did find carcasses of them under bushes, and they did find discarded goggles and gloves along the All-American Canal, which was in the same vicinity, and that is what turned us on immediately to suspect that some of the agribusiness was out there trying to poison the animals that they didn't want getting into the fields. There had been a salmonella outbreak, as you recall. Actually, there have been several salmonella outbreaks. So their theory was, well, we have to kill these animals off because if they get into the fields, they're going to ruin the value of our crop. Now, whether or not that's true, it's impossible in these open fields, in this desert area, to keep animals out. And it wasn't just killing the ones they wanted to keep out, like gophers or coyotes. It was killing everything, including domestic animals. And my fear is that it's making people sick. You and I know that we have a problem here already with thyroid dysfunction and hormone imbalances. And if they're out there baiting animals and the pets are coming back to the house, and
oh yeah, I have droves of people with mysterious upper respiratory stuff that they just can't get rid of. Throats that they have like a laryngitis symptom, but there's no upper bronchial stuff. A lot of throat issues, a lot of skin irritation, a lot of bumps and unusual dryness to the skin.
And when you can't get help from the doctors, either won't or can't diagnose a lot of this. I think many of these disorders are co-infections, also mycoplasma co-infections, but we can't get really a lot of information or cooperative information from any of the oversight agencies, supposedly oversight agencies. Some of them, OSHA and EPA has come straight out and said we aren't going to get involved in mold litigation. Well, they aren't going to come out and do investigations for it either. Who's going to do it?
So the Environmental Protection Agency, as well as the U.S. USDA are not as concerned about people as they are about big business.
Back in 2008, May 2008, USDA announced they were no longer going to publish a list of the businesses that were using pesticides, what kind of pesticides they were using, and how much they were using. The Farm Bureau did not really appreciate that, but it protected big agribusiness, and it protected things like we're seeing right here. It protected businesses that were out there doing things on their own, using who knows what, and it's very difficult to track what they're doing and who's doing it. The next step, I would guess, here is to go to the county commissioner, farm commissioner, and see what records they have. But whether or not we'll get cooperation from them is always a question. I don't know. I don't feel particularly protected by governmental regulatory agencies anymore. Do you?